Geography plays a big role in how communities develop. Here in Jacksonville, Florida, rivers and creeks like the one behind me have shaped the economy and have even brought a significant military presence. But how much impact can a body of water have on a region like this? We'll find out on Blueprint. I'm Nan Zaponte. As an industrial designer, I spent years admiring the great designs of products, vehicles, and architecture from all over the world. But I've found architecture to be the most captivating. I love learning about each building, discovering the characteristics that make it unique, and understanding the purpose behind its design. Most of all, I love hearing the stories behind each structure and seeing God's plan in putting it all together. Join us as we discover the blueprint of the buildings and structures inside the Iglesia Ni Cristo. So we're on our way today to the Church of Christ House of Worship in San Gabriel Valley, California. It's actually home to one of the first and oldest houses of worship built from the ground up here in the United States. I was only 15 when I first moved to Southern California. I remember seeing this house of worship and just admiring its size and its beauty. Back home in Texas, there weren't too many houses of worship at that time, and there was actually only one that compared to this one. So seeing this place in person, seeing the house of worship in person, really got me excited. But I was surprised to learn that even though the church reached the west coast of the United States first, the official title for the first house of worship built from the ground up belongs to Jacksonville, Florida, which is all the way on the east coast of the United States. The city of Jacksonville is the largest city and landmass in the United States of America, but right in the middle of it is the St. Johns River, so these bridges around us are vital in connecting the city. Harbor improvements in the late 19th century also led to the establishment of Jacksonville as a major military and civilian deep water port. All of this combined brought in a steady flow of people into Jacksonville. Among them were members of the Church of Christ who were serving in the U.S. military. I heard that this was the first house of worship outside of Philippines.
Yes.
Very first one.
Around United States.
So this is a historical law.
In 1977, the Church of Christ had only been outside of the Philippines for less than 10 years, but the growth made it necessary for the church to already purchase and renovate houses of worship, like the ones in Honolulu and San Francisco, and also build from the ground up, starting with the one in Jacksonville. Sally Villanueva, Violetta Fabella, and Rosalina Hushley are all pioneers of the church, witnesses of the historic groundbreaking of the new house of worship in 1977, and the growth that followed in the decades after. How many locals are here in
so many now.
Just in Jacksonville, how many?
In Jacksonville,
3.
we got 3. Just here in Jacksonville.
How does that make you feel knowing that the third
It
one?
grows so fast.
So proud.
Proud po.
It makes me feel so ecstatic because the way I saw the church grow.
Brother Raywell, now a minister of the gospel in the Church of Christ, grew up in Florida and was only 9 years old during the dedication of the house of worship in Jacksonville.
Well, when this was dedicated, that was my first dedication ever in my whole life. And when we pulled in, there were so many brethren. They were so happy. Everybody was so excited because this was the first ground-up construction project of the church here in the East Coast of America. It looked so huge. It looked so big. It was so beautiful.
Brother Raywell would go on to study engineering before heading to the Philippines for the ministry. This allowed him to see the construction of houses of worship both here in the U.S. and in the Philippines. It must be amazing to see the changes in the design and architecture.
Yeah.
When you compare, like, because it's funny because you see this one.
It's so simple. Yeah. Virginia Beach, Temple Hills, Forest Hills, LA.
Forest Hills, right, LA.
Yeah.
It's nice to see the just that transition in design.
Yeah. From a simplistic Gothic, I guess you can call it that, to more of an intricate modern Gothic.
But along with that, like, you still see there's that continuity. Like
You know it's Iglesia Ni Cristo.
Yeah. That unique architecture is especially important in a city like Jacksonville, where you can probably find a church in every corner of the city.
How far is your church from your home?
It's about 1 mile.
Typically.
It takes me about 7 minutes, 5 to 7 minutes to get to church from my home.
And I would estimate a little more than a mile. And does proximity matter? to a degree. I guess because time is valuable and time is money.
Because of the INC's desire to introduce the Church of Christ to even more people in Jacksonville, new congregations were established first in the central and eastern portions of Jacksonville, and then to the south. This is what brought the Church of Christ to a neighborhood known as Mandarin.
This building was before a chapel also.
Purchased in 2009, the building at 4211 Julington Creek Road, Jacksonville, Florida, was formerly the Faith Baptist Church of Mandarin. Abel Alignai, a pioneer in Jacksonville and a head deacon, was part of the search for the house of worship.
We look small chapel. We talk to owners of big chapel also. We continue on looking for a chapel. Plus, we are doing the devotional prayer. 3 years before we are able to find a house of worship.
Renovation of the building soon began. As we see it today, it's practically a brand new building. The walls of the original layout were completely demolished and new spaces were created within the old shell of the building, including new restrooms, new dressing rooms, a minister's office, and even a new lobby. But the most significant new space was the new sanctuary, complete with a raised choir loft and podium. It didn't stop there though. The exterior got its own share of additions, like a new roof, new stucco siding, a new redesigned front facade, and steeples. One fun fact about the exterior renovation is that the front of the building was moved to what was formerly the side of the building.
We love this great change for, because it's really a chapel. It's really a chapel of the Iglesia ni Cristo, Church of Christ.
The transformation was especially felt by the choir members, who spent many years singing in a choir loft that was at the same level as the congregation.
Our lobby right now used to be our choir area because we had no loft.
Oh, so you guys were just standing like on flat ground?
Mm-hmm. So we were eye level with the congregation. And having that new choir loft makes the services more spiritual.
If you could just pick one of your favorite additions to the chapel, what would that be?
Besides the choir loft, it would be our lights, those chandeliers.
Why the chandeliers?
They're different from most chandeliers you see in the new chapels nowadays. They're not like the big drop-down chandeliers, but the more spread out and closer to the ceiling.
Really complements the different designs inside the chapel.
Mm-hmm.
Looks really beautiful.
Words can't even begin to describe how blessed I feel, not from just myself, but for our locale and our district. This is such a beautiful chapel. We would have never thought it would look like this.
March 5th, 2016, the INC members in the southeastern region of the U.S. gathered once again to witness a new milestone. The worship service was led by the executive minister, Brother Eduardo V. Manalo.
So we're so fortunate to have like this. We can never forget this. As long as we live, this is a great gift from God.
Today we have a new milestone in the history of the church where we celebrate the dedication of the House of South Jacksonville. It's a great day. All the architectural design of the chapel, all the trim work, all the details, so much attention to details, and that's what God only deserves the best.
And for Brother Raywell, witnessing another dedication in Jacksonville has brought him full circle.
To be part of another chapel dedication within the same area is absolutely amazing, because that really shows the growth and expansion of the Church of Christ in such a short period of time in this area.
It's been a great stay here in Jacksonville. Thanks for joining us on this episode of Blueprint, where in the end, everything is part of God's plan. On the next Blueprint, we're heading back to California to check out the growth of the INC in the state's Central Valley.